This is Jack Bratton, one of the founding members of the Cherokee County Baptist Camp Meeting. And we started the camp meeting 40 years ago this month. And we have had a wonderful, wonderful time during these 40 years. There have been some trials and been some tears, but there's been a lot of joys. To tell you how the camp meeting began, back in 1971, I was talking to Brother Don Lovelace of the radio station WAGI-FM in Gaffney, and I suggested to Don that we have what we called a Waggy reunion and get some choirs to come in and sing and find a location. Well, the first location that we had was at the Crossroads Music Park right out of Shelby, North Carolina. And we invited Northside Baptist Church in Charlotte, Dr. Jack Hudson, his choir to come down, and Dr. Jack Hudson to speak. And also we invited a quartet out of Rock Hill and some other people, local people, to sing. And that first one was a success by anybody's reasoning and imagination. And then the next year we had another Waggy reunion, and it was in the same location but with different people. And the next thing I knew, some people had suggested that we try to get the tent from Brother Sammy Allen that seats 2,000 people. I'm not sure he still has that tent anymore. It'd be 40 years old now. But we proceeded to try to get the tent and got permission to get the tent. And then we wanted a speaker. It was suggested that we get Dr. J. Harold Smith if he had the time open. I immediately contacted him, and we have some of the correspondence on the website for the camp meeting. And I contacted him and asked him would he have some time, and he of course did. And he came in that first camp meeting, and that was 40 years ago. And in the first camp meeting we had, it was a tremendous time. A lot of souls were saved. And Dr. Smith preached his famous God's Three Deadlines on that Saturday night. And we have a tape of that message. And in fact, I did remotes over Waggy for all of those services. And that began that relationship. I believe we had Dr. Smith in the next year, but after that we had speakers that came in and preached for us, such as Ralph Sexton Sr. and then Ralph Sexton Jr. And we've had several preachers, and we have a variety of preachers now. I spent several years that I was away from the camp meeting, and I was involved with the J. Harold Smith Ministry in Newport, Tennessee. And upon my return, I immediately got involved with the camp meeting again that we had begun 40 years ago. Now, in that first camp meeting, setting it up, we had people like Brother Andy Kerrigan, Brother Charles Garrett, a car salesman in Gaffney by the name of Ab McCraw, and several other preachers that got involved with it. Brother Billy Cole from right here in Union, South Carolina was involved in that first camp meeting. And we just had a great time. And so those preachers, by and large, if they're still living, are still a part of that camp meeting today. I know Brother Andy Kerrigan is, and we have several others. So God has really blessed it. And now we began to talk about some property for the camp meeting, because when we first started it in the big tent, we had that located behind the Providence Baptist Church. And I meant to say that we got up to 2,000 people under the big tent. The night of the message, God's Three Deadlines, there was over 2,000 people. They were outside, sitting on cars and trucks. The tent was full. And Dr. Smith, when he started to give the invitation, all of the aisles were filled, even to the outside of the tent. And so it was just a tremendous time with Dr. J. Harold Smith. We had Brother Ralph Sexton. I still have some audio of Brother Ralph preaching and things like that. And then we progressed. We had Dr. Ed McAbee involved in those first meetings as well, and we were not far from the Northside Baptist Church in Gaffney, And I keep thinking about this. With 2,000 people, it took a lot of seats. And we had people driving as far away as Shelby, North Carolina, to Gaffney, to Union, to Cowpens, that were getting the chairs out from churches and bringing them, and we would mark them on the bottom so we'd know exactly where they went back to. But we counted over 2,000 chairs in that tent meeting for that original thing. Now, after that, the attendance probably dropped a little bit, but that was the beginning of the camp meeting, and a wonderful time. The Lord has really, really blessed. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about how the camp meeting began. And it began as an act of faith. It is still an act of faith. No one underwrites the camp meeting, as no one underwrites any of the programs that we do or anything that we do. It's not of any one church, but it's a bunch of churches coming together to produce the camp meeting and then let the Lord take control. And He really does. We saw that this past year when Brother Leonard Fletcher came in and preached, and when Brother Milton Taylor preached, and then to climax this week with Brother Charles Worley from Maiden, North Carolina. My, what a time we had in each of the services. And then, of course, Brother Joy Wampler led the choir, and tremendous messages in song with all the participating choirs. It was just a great time. And during that week, I saw so many of my friends that I haven't seen in many years that had come to the camp meeting. So, the Lord willing, it'll be going on even further. And when we first started that, little did I realize that here 40 years later, that camp meeting would still be going on. Now, we are located now between Gaffney and Union, or Jonesville, on Highway 18. And that property was given by the late Harry and Thelma Hudnut. And it was just a miracle that we got the property like we did, and then that the big tabernacle was erected like it was. And there's so much during the year that has to be done to the tabernacle, but so many men of the churches that are willing to volunteer their time to come in and keep the camp meeting alive and keep it going. And we appreciate even today Harry and Thelma Hudnut. And Harry was a praying warrior, and Thelma was right in behind him. And so we really appreciate these folks. May God bless you. I thank you for this opportunity today to share with you about the Waggy camp meeting turning to the Cherokee County Baptist camp meeting.